Hello and good evening. Welcome back to the Prison Yard TV, where we try to keep it authentic. If you haven't already hit that like button, hit that like button. If you already haven't hit that subscribe button, hit that subscribe button. So today I have a very special guest that I met back in 2006 in Thurston County Jail when I was fighting my bank robberies. I'm going to go ahead and bring him on and let him introduce himself. Like I said, I've been knowing this guy. He's from the state of Washington. I met him at Thurston County Jail, and he has a hell of a story to tell. Go ahead and introduce yourself, Garrett, and let my viewers know where you're from, how I met you, and we'll get into some questions I got for you. We didn't do no pre-interview, so this is off the fly. Your mic's not on. Hey, Garrett, your mic's not on. He forgot to turn his microphone on. Like I was saying, I met this cat in 2006 in Thurston County Jail when I was fighting my 4 bank robberies. And I'll get into the details of how I met him, why I met him, and how I got out of prison. He became a jailhouse lawyer and knows the law quite well. We'll get into the details about it as soon as his mic comes on. Can't hear you, brother. If you already haven't hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit it now. I'm waiting for him to turn his mic on so we can get into the interview. Like I said, I don't do, what's that, an AK-47 on your hat? I don't hear you. Let's see here. Yeah, his mic's on my side. Can't hear you still. Laptops, something lap tips have a switch on the side. Yeah, I know. Will Planner, his switch is on my side. He just got to find it on his computer. I see your comment you made. Here, let me call him and tell him what you said, man.
Yeah.
Hey, so there should be a switch.
There is. And I switched it. I can hit it where it says muted or unmuted.
And it's unmuted?
And it's unmuted.
Okay, so what we're going to do is you're going to, I'll just interview over the phone. I can hear you. I can hear you actually. My viewers can hear you over the phone. So leave your phone on. Okay, so let my viewers know who you are, where you're from, and a little bit about your story, because I got many questions for you. We haven't talked in many years, and I found you on Instagram. So I want you to tell my viewers where I met you and how I met you.
I met a dog in Thurston County in 2000. I think it was 5. Was it 6?
Yeah, it could have been 5. That's when I got arrested. Yeah. I thought you came in 6.
But yeah, it was a wild time. Old dog was a little younger, a little wilder. Yeah, I liked his style, so we got along pretty good. Did some legal stuff. Thurston County Jail. They were railroading
So when I met you, I actually met you in the high power tank. I think it was H tank or something like that. And me and him come from different backgrounds. As you guys know, all prison systems are segregated. And I was raised in the California system, and it's much like this in Washington too. So whites and blacks don't really congregate in jail and prisons, but I seen this dude and I knew there was something different about him. And when he told me about his escapes, his attempted escapes from the county jail and prison, I took a liking to him. And he was probably the closest dude to me during my stay in Thurston County Jail. As you guys know, I was fighting 4 bank robberies. They was trying to give me a life sentence. And actually, they did give me a whole bunch of time out there. They also gave my female co-defendant 10 years and wanted her to testify on me. And I kind of worked it around. I worked my lawyer to get that drop, but they still gave me all kind of time. And this individual, we went to prison together. I went a little bit ahead of him and we seen each other. And he was adamant on seeing my paperwork to my case. He's like, man, they couldn't have gave you this much time. Let's file a PRP. And I was like, a what? What the fuck is that? And he was like, man, they hear it within a year. And you guys know my story. If you haven't already heard about my book, I wrote about this guy in my book. He's the one that got me out of prison. He filed a PRP and I was out of prison within a year. But I want to get in. This interview ain't about me. This interview is about what you went through before I met you. Could I actually say, is it okay with you to say what you represented back then?
I would prefer not to.
Okay.
I don't want to bring up any of those letters, the alphabets.
Okay, that's fine. So when I met you, I always heard about the ADX through friends of mine that's actually been to Colorado, but they wasn't in the actual ADX. And when you showed me that picture, as you guys see that thumbnail, that's Mr. Linderman in the ADX. And I don't think there's too many pictures of anybody that's been in the ADX, actual pictures of someone in the cell in the ADX. And can you tell my viewers how you ended up in that ADX and how you got that damn picture?
Well, in the ADX, they feel pretty secure in their security, so they actually take pictures in the cell. You either purchase or win photo tickets, and they come right to your cell, take pictures in your cell or in the yard, in your recreation yards.
How'd you end up there?
Me and my cellie was accused of a stabbing death in my cell at the Lompoc Penitentiary.
Lompoc.
Yeah.
That's when Lompoc was really was that a USP back then?
Yeah, that was definitely a penitentiary. That was before they shut it down. For the federal court shut it down as too dangerous for both staff and inmates.
So I want to ask you something, because I found out something earlier talking to you, and we talked to Chad Marks on the phone briefly, and you told Chad Marks that you wasn't even sentenced. Your case wasn't even a federal case. How did you end up in Lompoc?
After a number of programs for behavior, they just determined I was a security risk for Washington State Corrections, so they sent me out on a discipline.
So they actually sent you from state prison after you was sentenced in the state, said you was too dangerous or violent, and sent you to a federal penitentiary for discipline?
Yes.
I've never heard of that. I've never heard of anyone getting kicked out of a state prison.
State borders contract.
Yeah, I was looking it up after you told me, and it's factual. But in California, you know, we got a lot more prisons here. So if you're a complete fuck up, and like you stabbed a guard or a few guards and a couple inmates, what they do is they bury you. They send you to not no more Pelican Bay, but they send you to Corcoran Shoe, and they lose your paperwork. But I guess Washington, you know, I've been to Stafford Creek out there, and when I got to Stafford Creek, man, it was like I couldn't believe I was in prison. They gave me a fucking key to my cell that was this big, 7 inches long. And the first thing I did, and then they told me I couldn't even cell up with the race I was. They sent me to a cell with the white dude with long ass hair, and they handed me a TV when I walked in this place. So when the cop handed me this damn key, I walked in this cell and I seen this white dude with long hair. I'm like, man, I'm in the wrong cell. So I went up to the cop station. He's like, no, we don't sell you with your kind. We sell you with the opposite. So I went in the cell and I started trying to break down the key to make a knife out of it. And he was like, what are you doing? And I told him, and then I finally went out to the yard and found a Norteño that I could sell it with. And I told him, man, we're going to make some knives out of these keys. He was like, there's never been a stabbing in this prison before. I was like, what? So I knew then that it was like a college. And it was a trip, man, because when you hit a yard, and my case was kind of big in Washington because I was on the news and shit. They said some bad things about me, tried to make me seem like I was this big old monster. So when I got to the prison, you already had filed my PRP for me when we was at Shelton, remember? We went to the law library.
Yes.
We used to go to the law library, and Linderman used to, he filed my PRP for me. But at the time, I knew he knew the law because I was in jail with him for over a year. And at the time, when you hear a jailhouse lawyer tell you, man, I could get you out, it's like, okay, man, I swear to God, I was out of prison within 12 months after I got to prison because he filed this paperwork for me. And I couldn't believe it. I was like, I still got 12 years to do. This dude got me out in 12 months. I couldn't believe it. And so I was grateful for that. But, you know, I went through hell down there. I stayed in their county jail in the hole for over a year because I was in a little mini riot over the Super Bowl when the Seattle Seahawks played the Pittsburgh Steelers. And the only black cop that worked at this jail, I ended up elbowing in his nose while I was fighting. So they kind of threw me in the hole, and I lost contact with Linderman until we went to prison. But you got a hell of a story, man. And I know that you're very reserved about talking about it. But it's something in our past, and it's something in our way past. We're older men now. I know we have to live in our communities, and people look at us kind of strange because we've been through what we've been through. But like I told you earlier, my whole YouTube channel started because I'm trying to save the youth from having to go to prison and having to go through the things me and you went through. And even though we don't look the same, we're the same. We've been through the same shit, Garrett. And I know you're out there in Washington. I'm in California. And I just frequented in Washington last year. Beyond my, I didn't want to go out there. I was kidnapped and taken out there. But the cops kidnapped me and flew me back to Washington. And if I would have known his hookup when I was in Washington, I would have reached out to him. His mom did me a huge favor when I got out of prison. She had picked up my jewelry for me, man. And my jewelry meant everything to me back then. And I came back. I ran off parole down there. But I want you to give my viewers a little bit about the ADX in the federal prison, because I've never been to federal prison. I got two best friends in there right now. But state prison and federal prison, people think that federal prison is like a cakewalk. When I heard federal prison, I think you get lobster and steaks, but it's more dangerous than the state prison system right now. And I've been looking into it. And I guess you was cornered. Go ahead.
It's they got a lot more discipline there. Things are not quite as cut and dry. You know, state prisons have a lot of different things that can get you in trouble, but in the feds, it's more for keeps.
More death.
Yeah.
and you was caught in a situation where you had to perform, and I understand that. I know you're very reserved about it, and you know what? I can't even knock you for being reserved about it, because that's something that follows you forever. We won't get into details of who, what, when, where, but how did you feel? I'm almost positive that wasn't your first skit you did, because you actually did it kind of well and got away with it. And then I understand a correction officer wrote a book with you in it talking about this incident. And that amazed me when you told me that.
Yeah, it's actually, I got it right here. It's all just very briefly. Let me see what it's called. I'm in chapter 13, The Summer of Blood, or Anatomy of a Cell Block Killing.
Okay, so that book has you in that book in an actual lieutenant from Lompoc. The book is called Stories from the Old Yard, The Murders. And if you guys want to know more about this gentleman that's on my channel right now, his name's Garrett Linderman, and he is in this book this correction officer wrote. He don't want to get into the details about it, but if you guys want to know, I don't promote cops' books because I wrote my own books, but I did order this book. And the only reason why I ordered it is because he's in it. And when he called me today and told me this cop put him in a book, I was like, how do you feel about that? And he had two explanations for that. I don't know how I'd feel if a cop put me in a book about a murder, something that was deemed self-defense, obviously, because if it wasn't, you wouldn't be here breathing, or you would still be in the penitentiary. You did get out. How long have you been out now?
I've been out, after that, I did another 8 years for bank robbery.
Oh, that's when I met you. So James Smith got a question. Can you read that question up there?
I can.
How long did you stay free on the streets after?
Right now, I've been out. I was only out 8 months when I got that charge.
And that's when I met you.
But I've been out since 2013 now.
2000. That's the longest you ever been out, huh?
Yeah, that 8 months was the longest before that.
in your story, you're a bank robber like I was. Well, we was bank robbers, and that's how we connected. We connected because we was both in there for bank robberies, and I ended up getting a little bit more time than him, but I got out way before him, and we connected on bank robberies. We was also plotting to escape out of that damn jail when we was there. We was plotting to escape because he's known for that. He's known for escapes. He escaped out of the jail we was in once before. And I remember the story. We used to go to my cell, and he used to tell me all this shit about the Washington, about him escaping out of the courtroom, running in the river. I remember all that shit. And I was like, we could do it now. My attorney will help us. So we was really plotting to escape out of this jail because we didn't want to be in jail, man. But man, it is so I don't know if you see it in my face, but I'm ecstatic that I'm sitting here talking to you right now, because I think about this guy all the time. It's like when you connect with people, you really connect with them. And I connected with him. And if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have got out of prison down there. I would have probably been getting out. Let me see. I would have got out in 2016. And unfortunately, I did come home from there and catch a whole new case, a real estate fraud case in California. And I ended up doing almost 10 years on that.
On what? A real estate what?
Real estate fraud. They gave me 15 years, 8 months for real estate fraud.
Is that why they got those commercials?
So it started out a federal case, but after I fought it for 2 years, the feds could only give me 4 years. So they dropped it and said they seen I had a strike. and the state picked it up and took me to trial and gave me 15 years. But I'm real happy I got back in contact with this man, man. I owe this man my life. And if you guys, so what are you doing out there now, Garrett?
I just finished a couple degrees. I'm going to get back into paralegal, probably start my own paralegal business. But right now, I'm just making some money out there landscaping right now while I'm young enough to hit the road still.
Yeah, so I was going to say that. So my YouTube channel has my Cash App up there. If anyone donates during this segment, it's all going to him. I already agreed to him. I pay him whatever comes in. Also, I have a members only now. If you guys want to hit that join button and be a member, you guys will have you'll get one video a month, exclusive video a month. You also get emojis, different badges, and I'll be putting up chapters of my book if you become a member. Anything that comes in tonight is going towards him and his family. I appreciate his interview, man. You don't even know how happy I am that I got in contact with this dude, man. I seen him, and he got an original name, Garrett Linderman. So when I seen him, and then Port Angeles on his Facebook, I was like, this is him. I know it's him. So I hit him, and of course, it took him a few days to hit me. But this is part one of this interview. We didn't even talk about this interview, what we're going to speak about. That's why I'm kind of in the blind right now, because as you guys see my thumbnail, it tells the story kind of about his story, and he don't feel comfortable talking about it. But if you read this book that this cop wrote about him, you'll see what this cop wrote about him. I don't know how true this lieutenant was speaking on you, if it's authentic or not. Only you could tell us that. Obviously you read the book. Do you think the cops is authentic about what he said about you in the book?
There's some truth, just like every story. There's some truth to it, but he twists it in a way, trying to say that the self-defense determination was false, and only a fool would have thought that it wasn't a murder case. I don't know whether he's pushing for a cold case to pop up, or I was surprised. Normally they don't get so specific, but he had in this book he put personal letters in my mind, documents, different, trying to prove that I got away with murder.
But it was actually self-defense. I remember you telling me, and I'm a convict like him, so he wouldn't just straight out lie and tell me what it was about. I know what the case is about, and it was self-defense. But it's like when you kill someone of an importance, even in prison, even the guards get in trouble. If the murder is not, if they don't convict someone for the murder, they get in trouble. And I'm sure this cop got demoted from lieutenant, right?
He got demoted. He was put on graveyard shift. He went from pretty much running the prison as a lieutenant investigator to losing all his seniority and no, when everybody's locked down in that graveyard, you're not interacting with anybody.
He ain't got no action.
They put him on the back burner, and then he retired after that. So he had a pretty big grudge. He still got another book. I mean, the book's under nonfiction.
Yeah.
So I could easily prove that a lot of it is fiction. He portrays himself as this stand-up guard that stood up to people. But he's got his own spin.
So you went from what prison was you in before you ended up in Lompoc in Washington? What prison you was in? Walla Walla. So you went from Walla Walla on a sentence of what? How much time did they sentence you to Walla Walla?
25 years at the time.
Okay, 25 years. You was in Walla Walla. An incident happened. I guess you jumped off the tier in Walla Walla. I remember you telling me, right? Well,
yeah, I was traveling.
Yeah. So you went from Walla Walla to Lompoc, and then from Lompoc to the most secure prison in the United States of America, the ADX. And that's where El Chapo is. That's where Ted Kaczynski was. That's where a lot of the heavyweights are. Yeah, the Latin King. I know all them people up there. I got a friend. He's a blood, and he was in the ADX also. Alex Hampton. He's from Sacramento, and he was telling me that's why when you showed me that picture, I was like, how? And then you told me there's no human contact. So you went from being in Walla Walla in your own backyard all the way to the ADX. You was underground in a mountain. And did you have human contact when you was there?
Well, technically, they have guards ain't allowed on their tiers. It's so secure that they have to have 3 officers and a lieutenant to walk on the tier. And they do have, they pass you meals, but you have no touch. You don't have any visiting, even your.
So they're telling me there's beeping in the phone. Is there any way we can clear him a little more? Okay, there. I can hear you more clearly. There's no more beeping. So we did have some technical difficulties. His computers, for some reason, the microphone wasn't working. I had that with another guy I interviewed a couple months ago. And so I'm doing it over the phone. He's actually talking into his phone. I don't hear the beeping now. So you didn't have no human contact, really. Did they feed you how'd they feed you?
They fed well. It's the end of the line. Most of those guys were waiting on death penalty cases. Most of them are sentenced to no human contact for 5-10 years. The best they're looking at is to go back to a population in prison. They're doing life without. 90-some% of them are never getting out. So they, the food, they just fed you a lot and pretty good food for the control purpose. How
long did you do in the ADX?
Under 5 years, from 2000 to 2005.
And obviously, I think you paroled from the ADX, right? That's where you went home from?
Well, you're not legally allowed to go right from the ADX. They're supposed to give you time to acclimate. So they transferred me about 30 days before my release date and sent me prison to prison. I stayed in segregation. So there was no acclimation. It was worse.
I bet.
But then I was at prison, you probably know it,
Atwater, yeah.
They put me in seg there, and then a couple lieutenants from Washington came up and put a jacket on me and cut holes in the jacket so they couldn't see the handcuffs on me and put me on a public plane and flew me back. And I did the last 10 days in IMU with a little card over my door.
Yeah.
So I did.
Hey, Will. Yeah, I know there's a little feedback. Do you guys in the ADX come into contact with each other, at least same tier unit?
No, you contact through, you talk through your toilets, your shower, drains, yell through the vents.
So you really don't see anybody?
No, you don't see anybody.
So
if
you guys want to see where El Chapo is housed at, look at that thumbnail. That's the actual picture of the inside of an ADX cell. That's him when he was younger, all cut up and yoked. He had his bodybuilding status on. I pictured him inside the cell in the ADX, and it's crazy because I hear about all these people talk about the ADX, and I actually seen this picture of the ADX cell back in 2006 when we was in the Thurston County Jail, and it's like amazing how you can't even get your mail handed to you. The mail comes on a screen, a TV screen, and I guess all your educational comes on there. I remember what you telling me about education. Me and him had long conversations, deep conversations. I remember all of me and his conversations because I was impressed. I was always intrigued about people that's been to higher power prisons than me. And I've been to all of them in California, all the level 4s here. And when you hear about somebody that's
that's the level 6. I think it's the only level 6.
Yeah, maximum security. And you know, if they put El Chapo in the Unabomber there, and you was there, and you got out of prison from there, you're a very fortunate man, especially because of the case you caught in Lompoc. It's like I know people that's I got a guy coming on here. His name is Mitch Smiley, and he went through hell. He just did 36 years in California. He's an old biker dude, Hell's Angel. And he had problems with the same faction that you had problems with, but he succumbed over that. And he got kind of like a life story like yours, but he got 3 in the box. You know what I mean? And it's crazy that people, when they go to prison, only the wolves survive in prison, especially the prisons me and you been to, man. If you're a weak individual or you got weak tendencies, you don't come out. Or if you do come out, you come out weird or a punk, or you don't come out the same. And you're the same individual that I met in Thurston County Jail. You're probably harder now than you was in. I remember.
Oh no! Hey, let me tell you this. I got a grandbaby that's waiting for me right now.
Mine too.
To play some video games with me, but he's 5 years old, so yeah, I've been soft as hell for at least 5 years.
So your grandbaby, I just got off the phone with mine. He just barely started walking yesterday. He's 1 year old.
Yeah, nice.
And every time I see him, man, it's like I can't stop smiling. Because you know, I wasn't there for none of my kids. I wasn't there for my kids growing up. I was in prison, man. But now that I got grandkids, it's like, man, I miss that innocence, affection that they give you. You know what I mean? And we don't want them to grow up and have to go through what we went through, man.
We don't.
Not our grandkids. That's why I started this YouTube channel. It's like everyone been trying to get me to start this channel when I first came up, and I'm like, I'm not getting on here. That's what rats do. They get on here and talk about prison shit. And I just wasn't with it. But then I thought to myself, you know what? I'm not in a gang no more. I didn't drop out. I didn't fall off. But I just decided to hang up my gloves. And if I could give back what I've taken away, even 10% of what I've taken away, I would rest easy when I do go to rest. And that's what I need, people like you. You're inspiration to me, man. And it's like I learned more from this guy in the 3 years that I've known him than I've learned from anybody else in any prison. And it's unfortunate we did meet in the county jail, but he's very knowledgeable. As you can see, he's very reserved. He don't talk as much as me. But I can tell you that this individual is authentic as they come. And he wouldn't have had no problem in the California prison system. Like I said, when I got to Washington, I thought everyone there was soft, but that's not the case. When you surround yourself with soft individuals, you see just how the environment is. And he stood out to me. He stood out because he wasn't like all the rest of the individuals I was around in there. Even Crips in there and Bloods and Nortes and Surrenders was way different to me in there. I hung around with him and this other white cat, Thomas. I forgot Thomas's name, man. He was I ended up going home and messing with his sister Priscilla. Thomas Mounds. You know Thomas Mounds? Tom? He's from Tacoma. And so I messed around with people in the Washington state that I thought was authentic. It didn't matter what race you were. It didn't matter what car you was from. If I thought you was on the same level as me, I messed with you. And that's how I got to know this individual, man. And hey, Linderman, I appreciate you. We're gonna get this audio together and do a part 2, man. like I said, I already took off my interview I had earlier today to put this individual on. This was a last minute thing and we rushed it. But there's some more. I got a whole list of questions. Where's my notebook? I got 30.
So, hey, Doc.
Yeah.
So I see this thing written. I Googled and couldn't find anything from Bank Robberies. All I got to do is look me up in 60 minutes and it breaks it down.
Oh, yeah. You was on 60 minutes.
Interview in 60 minutes.
I remember that.
So you just looked that up, but I don't know what he's talking about. Bank robberies.
I Googled and couldn't find anything from the bank robberies or what AF American Front. No, so I'll touch on that in a little while. He was on 60 Minutes. He did do an interview on 60 Minutes. If you're talking about my bank robberies, all you got to Google is the Which Bank Robber of Olympia, Washington, 2005.
That was an interesting case. That's worth looking into. That went on. That had ramifications for years after that.
Hey, I didn't tell you. So when I got out of Washington prison system after he got me out, I pushed my luck. I went in front of a judge in the car we used in the bank robbery. I made the judge release it to me. So I had to go in front of this lead detective, Sammy Costello's office, and tell him he got to give me my car back. And his face just turned beet red. He threw the keys at me, and he told me if I didn't leave his county, I was going to be buried. He threatened my life. They was very disturbed that I got out of prison for these bank robberies, and my girl was still down there doing 10 years. They was very distraught over this. And that's how I came up with the title to my book, The Man Behind the Woman, because that's what they called me in Washington. All the news channels, all the newspapers, they put false accusations, said I had all these false crimes in California. They tried to make me look like a piece of shit down there, and I sued them. And, any individual that knows me, knows my background, knows my MO. I wasn't tripping off of it, but when I heard Linderman ask me about it, I was like, oh, that's going around about me? And he was like, yeah. So I had to do my own investigation because I remember the detective said some faulty shit about me.
Well, I remember reading all that, but if I would have believed that, I wouldn't have hooked you up with my parents. So
yeah, so
my mother, that's the trust I had in.
So what happened was, I'm going to be upfront with you guys. So when I was in Washington, these cops wanted to railroad me and get me on anything, and they knew in any state, if you go to prison and you got a child molestation case or a rape case or anything like that, they know you'll probably be stabbed or you have to go PC. Well, this cop got on an interview and said I had a fucking rape case in California, a child molestation case. So by him doing that, I was like, if I had a rape case in California, I'd be on the registered list. I'd be on Megan's Law. So I just let it go for years. But then when they rearrested me and they told me I was a registered sex offender, I sued their ass. So they had to clear all that up. But they tried to smut me up. They tried to play dirty with me, say all these false accusations that I made this 22-year-old girl go rob these banks. I was the man behind the woman. I had control over her mind. They tried to make it seem like I was a beast. And, we did it together. Me and her did it together. She took the case from me. There was no ratting involved. She took the case, got me off. Well, didn't get me off, got me off the bank robberies, and I was convicted on all kind of other felonies down there. But yeah, Linderman, if you want to look him up, look up 60 Minutes interview. When did you do that interview?
I was in 2007, and then they showed it. They did another one in 2009, I believe. So
if you want to look him up, it's Garrett Linderman, 60-minute interview. And if you want to read about him in that book, what's that book called again? It's called Stories from the Old Yard, The Murders. And the author's name is Fitzmaurice. He was a lieutenant in Lompoc, and he's the one that tried to prosecute him on this murder that he was accused of doing and that he ultimately beat. So I want to let my viewers know that we are going to do a part 2. We'll have our audio. Who was that? We'll have our audio fixed. Will Planner, the murders. Yeah, the murders, homie. Will Planner, you're new on my channel. I haven't seen you. Like I said, a lot of these cats I'm not posting all the comments, but a lot of these cats been with me for a long time on my channel since June. And after we're done with the interview, I'll go on here and answer some of your questions. I appreciate it if you guys join my channel and become a member. It's real cheap. I think it's $3.99 or something like that. But you guys will get some exclusive shit if you do that. Linderman, I'm gonna let you get to your. Oh, you're from Sacramento, homie. I'm gonna let you go back to your grandkids. I'm gonna talk to you tomorrow. I don't work tomorrow. I don't work until next Monday. So we'll get this shit together and do a part 2 because I got so many questions for you, bro. I appreciate you being on here.
I'll figure out the audio.
Okay. All right. I love you, bro. And I'll talk to you tomorrow.
All right, man. Good love.
All right.
All right. Later.
So that individual right there, he was very reserved about talking about his case. And I understand why. His case was very delicate, and the person that he was accused of murdering, well, actually, he admitted murdering him, was from a faction from California, and they thought his life was in danger from it. And so that's why they sent him to the ADX. But that is my friend. He's the reason why I got out of Washington State Prison. He's a legal beagle. I just hooked him up with Chad Marks today. If you guys know about Chad Marks, his YouTube channel is The Blood on the Razor Wire TV. He did a lot of federal time. And so I hooked him up with Garrett today, and I guess they're going to do an interview on his channel probably in the next couple of weeks. He found him very interested. So like I said, if you guys already haven't, thanks, Will. Hey, James. I was Golden State skinny, and I didn't even know we were in the hat with Wolfpack. Oh, yeah, you guys were in the hat, okay. I remember when you guys went in the hat. I was in DVI when you guys went in the hat. Hey, James, so I don't know when my next interview is with him, bro. He barely called me today out of the blue. I gave my number like a week ago, and I couldn't believe he called me. Linderman is he's a factor in Washington State. The cops hated him. They hated me, so we kind of got close, man. And I was a Crip, and he was on the other side. He claimed something equivalent to the Aryan Brotherhood here, and we just clicked. And he helped me get out of prison, man, and he became my friend. I met his family. I met his mother and his mother's husband when I came home. They were the first people that I seen when I got out because they had my jewelry. They picked it up for me. But I don't know. We'll probably interview him later next week or something. Tomorrow, however, at 6 o'clock, I'm going to be coming on here live, and I'm going to be talking about how the Crips and the Norteños fell out. We used to be allies from CYA on up to the penitentiary, and how that relationship ended in Solano State Prison. And I'll be talking about that tomorrow at 6 o'clock. I was there when it happened. Unfortunately, someone got their eye kicked out, and that divided the Crips and the Northerners from that point on, and it spilled over to the other California prison systems. Until the indictment, now I see that had I not beat my case at trial, prison would have been a ride. Hey, Will, so did you go to prison out here? Did you ended up going to prison, or you beat the case? What's up, school? I see you, homie. You just getting on here. You missed my whole interview with the homie, Garrett. Man, that cat right there, man. I can't say enough good things about him, man. He really saved me from doing a lot of time in Washington. And if you know California politics, I wasn't used to congregating with white supremacy groups when I went to Washington. And that's what he was involved in. And I really appreciated his friendship down there, man. He go ahead and hey, school me. Go ahead and go back and check it out, man. I'm gonna post it right now as soon as this is over. You did 2 terms in California, Will. Where'd you go? Was you on a level 4? Where'd you end up doing your time at? Took time served and sat after a hung jury, but that was still considered a prison sentence, 4 years. Hey, what part of Sacramento you from, Will? I very rarely get viewers on here from Sacramento, man. I got the homie James Smith is on here. He's from Sac. DVI Soledad, CMC West. So I was in CMC East, bro, and that was the worst prison I ever been to, man. I came from New Folsom to CMC East, and it was a change. DVI, though, I was in DVI in 89, 93, 95, 2001. I did a lot of time on DVI. You from Citrus Heights? Okay. The Crips versus 14. Did that happen back in the 80s? Nah, James. It happened in 2001, bro. I'll do the segment tomorrow about it, but I'm gonna put it in a nutshell right now. A Crip dude from Stockton, he got a package for Northenial that was on lockdown, and we all ended up in the hole. And in the hole back then, it was they wasn't segregated. We could go to the yard. Crips and Northenials could go to the same yard, and we was on the same yard. And this Crip dude got his eye kicked out in Solano Hole in 11 building. And that's what started the divide between the Crips and the Northenians. I'll give you the whole segment tomorrow. Yeah, DVI did have, I used to work in the kitchen in DVI. And they had some good ass food back in the days. Now I heard it's trash. I ain't been there since 2010, but I was there in 89 on up. I did a lot of time in DVI on the main line there, man. And I was in a lot of incidences in DVI, man. But DVI back then when I was there was gladiator school. There was a lot of killings when I was there. That's when the BGF and the ABs was going at it. The sleepers. It's closed now. Yeah, I heard it closed because of the water, huh? Man, I had kidney cancer, bro, and I'm almost positive I got it from DVI water. My doctor's like, how do you got kidney cancer at this young age? I had it when I was 36 years old. They couldn't understand how I had kidney cancer. And I believe it was from doing so much time in DVI. That's how I got my kidney cancer, man. So if you guys already haven't hit that like button, if you ain't subscribed to my channel, go ahead and subscribe now. Like I said, I got a members only button now. The join button, hit that members only button, and you'll get exclusive videos once a month. And I'm going to read a few chapters off my book if you're a members only. It's real cheap. You could go level 1, 2, 3, or 4. Level 1's, I think, $3.99. You go ahead and hit that. You could get on. You could be a members only for $3.99, all the way up to $49.99. All right, so I'm going to end this now. I'll see you guys tomorrow at 6. I'll have a banger for you why the Crips and Northenials fell out in DVI. I believe it was 2001. I believe that's the year that we fell out with the Northenials. We was allies for many years with them cats, C14. So I'm going to end this now. Stay blessed. Tell the people you love them. If you haven't done it today already, don't go to bed without telling the people you love them. I'll see you guys tomorrow at 6 o'clock. Stay blessed and stay up. Stay safe out there in the streets.